Did you know that the signs of dementia can appear up to a year before an official diagnosis? Most people are surprised by this fact. It's not the memory loss that comes later that catches people off guard, but the smaller, more subtle signs that sneak in much earlier. These changes are often so quiet and gradual that they can easily be brushed off as simply part of getting older. Yet, they can speak volumes, and recognizing them early might make all the difference in how we approach the challenges ahead. In this video, we're going to dive deep into 5 early warning signs of dementia that might show up months, or even a year, before a formal diagnosis. These signs are not dramatic or obvious at first, but they can carry great meaning. From small behavioral shifts to unusual decisions, these changes might be subtle, but they can tell us a lot about what is going on in the brain. The sooner we notice them, the sooner we can take meaningful action. We're not here to alarm you. We're here to equip you with the knowledge and tools to prepare for whatever lies ahead. By understanding these signs, you can take charge of your health and better support those around you. Stay tuned until the end of the video, because not only will you have a deeper understanding of these early warning signs, but you'll also walk away with practical tips that could help you or someone you love maintain a more independent and fulfilling life. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on valuable insights that can improve your well-being. Let's begin. Sign 1. Subtle memory lapses in daily tasks. One of the earliest signs of dementia that often flies under the radar is a quiet shift in memory, particularly with tasks that once felt automatic. This doesn't involve suddenly forgetting everything or struggling to recognize your loved ones, as that typically comes much later. Instead, what shows up first are tiny missteps. You might walk into the kitchen and forget why, or misplace your glasses more frequently, even though they always have their designated spot. You might forget that you had an important dentist appointment or skip paying a bill you usually keep track of. These lapses may sound harmless and are something that happens to everyone occasionally. We all forget things from time to time, especially when life gets busy. But when these moments become more frequent or start interfering with your regular routine, they may signal that something deeper is changing. At first, you might feel frustrated with yourself, knowing something is not quite right. You might feel embarrassed and tell yourself it's just because you're tired or distracted, but deep down, you know the feeling is different. What makes these lapses concerning isn't just the forgetfulness, it's the lack of awareness about the lapses. Imagine forgetting to turn off the stove not because you were rushing, but because the task simply vanished halfway through. You may repeat a story 3 times in one afternoon without realizing it. These subtle lapses start to affect your ability to manage day-to-day tasks, like remembering to take your medication or losing track of your appointments. John, a 75-year-old man from Phoenix, Arizona, first noticed these changes when his wife, Gloria, began asking the same questions during their phone calls. At first, John thought it was just a sweet gesture, as if she was being overly concerned, but then he realized that Gloria wasn't remembering the answers she had already been given. Even more concerning, she had forgotten to renew her driver's license, something she had always handled on her own for the past 50 years. These were minor mistakes, but over time, they accumulated into something more concerning. While these are small incidents, they can be early signs of cognitive decline and can precede noticeable memory symptoms by several months or even longer. The good news is that the earlier you notice these lapses, the sooner you can begin tracking changes, consulting with a healthcare professional, or adjusting daily routines to protect independence and safety. Early recognition gives you the opportunity to take proactive steps and preserve your loved one's quality of life. Sign 2. Changes in mood or personality. When people think of dementia, the first thing that often comes to mind is memory loss. But long before memory problems become noticeable, there can be significant changes in how someone behaves, feels, or interacts with the world. These shifts may not be easy to spot right away, but they are just as important. They often manifest as sudden or unusual changes in mood or personality. For example, a senior who was once patient and easygoing might suddenly become irritable or quick-tempered, reacting to small frustrations in ways that feel out of character. They might snap at minor inconveniences, or show visible agitation when their routines are disrupted. It's not that life has become harder, it's that their tolerance level has narrowed over time without anyone noticing. This shift can also cause them to become more anxious or withdrawn, even in situations where they would have felt comfortable before. Consider Tom, a 77-year-old man from Salt Lake City, Utah. He used to look forward to his weekly social gatherings at the local library, meeting his friends and enjoying their lively conversations. But over time, his daughter, Samantha, began to notice that Tom had started to make excuses for not attending. At first, she thought it was just because he was tired, but after some time, it became clear that something was off. Tom, who had always been an active participant in conversations, began to shy away from them. He started to feel overwhelmed by the idea of social interactions, which used to bring him joy. This change wasn't just about him feeling tired or getting older, it was an emotional withdrawal. It's not just about avoiding events, it's about a quiet retreat from the world and the people who once mattered most. Similarly, other seniors may start to display signs of uncharacteristic sadness or apathy, even when there's no obvious trigger, like the loss of a loved one or an illness. When you notice someone losing interest in things they once loved, be it a hobby, a social gathering, or a simple daily routine, it's worth taking a step back and asking why. Sarah, a 79-year-old woman from Nashville, Tennessee, realized her husband, David, had stopped pursuing his favorite pastime of painting. At first, Sarah thought it was just a phase, but when the disinterest persisted for months, she started to worry. David had always been full of life, so seeing him so distant and disconnected from the world around him was both heartbreaking and concerning. Sign 3. Trouble following conversations. One of the most subtle yet impactful signs that something might be changing in the brain is difficulty keeping up with conversations. It's not about the occasional slip in memory, like forgetting the name of a movie you just watched. Rather, it's about the difficulty processing information during live conversations or group settings. For many seniors, this can feel deeply frustrating. Imagine being at a family dinner where multiple people are talking at once. It feels like the words are coming too quickly, or that the meaning of the conversation is slipping through their fingers. They may start asking others to repeat themselves more often, not because they can't hear, but because their brain is struggling to keep up with the flow of information. They might lose track of what was just said, or fail to catch key details, even though they were paying attention. Consider Harold, an 82-year-old man from Dallas, Texas, who loved attending his family dinners. Over the years, his daughter Marie noticed that Harold started sitting quietly at the table, rarely joining in the conversation. When she asked him about the discussions later, he'd shrug or say, "I didn't quite catch everything." It wasn't because Harold wasn't interested. It was because he was struggling to keep pace with the back and forth of multiple voices. When someone starts showing signs of trouble following conversations, they may begin to withdraw from group settings altogether, feeling embarrassed or frustrated. They might shy away from social events to avoid being put on the spot or feeling left out. But the key here is consistency. If this struggle becomes a regular occurrence, it's worth investigating further. These signs can be an early indicator that the brain is having difficulty processing and retaining information. Sign 4. Losing interest in favorite activities. When someone starts withdrawing from activities that once brought them joy, it can be one of the clearest signals that something is changing underneath the surface. This isn't just about slowing down as they age. It's about losing connection to what once provided meaning, purpose, and joy. The change often happens slowly, so subtly that even close family members don't realize what's going on until it's too late. Take Walter, a 78-year-old man from Los Angeles, California, who once loved gardening. Every spring, he would spend hours planting his vegetables, preparing the soil, and taking great pride in his garden. But one year, his daughter Linda noticed that Walter had stopped working on the garden. When she asked him about it, he simply said, "I just didn't get around to it." The next year, his garden remained empty, and the tools lay untouched in the shed. This wasn't just about being tired, it was about losing the internal drive to engage with things that once brought him happiness. This withdrawal can also show up in smaller things, like a senior who used to care deeply about their appearance or keeping their home tidy, but now lets bills pile up or stops grooming altogether. It's not that they don't have the ability to care for themselves. They simply don't feel the motivation to do so anymore. This kind of change can also be a defense mechanism. If someone starts to recognize their own cognitive struggles, they may begin to avoid activities that expose those difficulties. They might not want others to notice their memory lapses or struggles with communication, so they quietly withdraw from situations where they might feel judged. Sign 5. Unusual struggles with directions and familiar places. One of the most concerning early signs of dementia is the loss of spatial awareness. This is when someone begins to forget how to navigate spaces that were once second nature. It doesn't happen all at once. Instead, It shows up in small, unsettling moments that gradually become more frequent. Take Frank, a 82-year-old man from Denver, Colorado, who used to drive to his local church every Sunday. One day, he missed a turn and had to circle the block twice, unsure why the route didn't feel right. A month later, he called his daughter, Emily, because he was stuck on a street just a mile from home, unable to remember which way led home. Frank had always been confident in his sense of direction, but now, simple tasks like driving had become fraught with uncertainty. This loss of direction doesn't just happen on the road. A senior might forget where they left their keys, or hesitate at the door of their own bedroom. In some cases, they may stop driving altogether because they've lost confidence in their ability to navigate. They may even begin to rely on others more and more to guide them around, avoiding outings because they fear getting lost. This isn't about carelessness, it's about the brain's ability to process spatial information, which begins to deteriorate in dementia. It can affect even familiar environments and lead to anxiety and a loss of independence. As we reflect on the 5 subtle signs of dementia that often appear long before a formal diagnosis, it's important to remember that awareness is the first step toward preparation. These changes, whether it's the occasional memory lapse, the shift in mood, the struggle to follow conversations, or withdrawing from once-loved activities, aren't simply part of getting older. They are gentle signals from the brain, asking for attention, care, and sometimes intervention. Recognizing these signs early on gives us the opportunity to take proactive steps. It's not just about preventing cognitive decline. It's about preserving the dignity, joy, and independence of the people we care about. If you've noticed any of these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't panic. It's never too early to seek help, explore options, and take steps that can make a meaningful difference in someone's life. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share what stood out to you. Your feedback is invaluable, and reading your thoughts helps us continue creating meaningful content. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us keep providing useful information to help you and your loved ones. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.